Okay, you guys, this is morning therapy session. I know I've been skipping out on morning therapy just because I'm going through my own shit, okay? And right now, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about more deeper into trauma bonding and understanding that um, what we do not heal is what we end up attracting over and over and over again in our lives. So, one thing that I want to talk about is me attracting my baby father. So, because of the trauma that I endured as a child, the trauma that was unchecked, and was sort of like a family secret, but more so a secret between me and my abuser, because I never released that energy, I never spoke on that energy, I kept it inside, and I kept it inside of my vibration. So from the outside looking in, I just looked like a regular teen, regular person, just a normal person. But inside, I was battling this energy that I knew I didn't want, but I didn't know how to go about removing it from my vibration. And with my ex, he has his own issues because of things that he went through with his aunt, where he was literally in a sexual relationship with her at a very young age. And because he was in this relationship with this aunt, and it was one of the family secrets, he did not fully like women and respect women because he grew up to resent them. So I was personally taken into care with a person who should not have been trusted with me, and so was he. So, with my instance, my mom was the one who was working. She was the one who was, creating the life that we had. And with his situation, his mom was doing the same thing. She was out working and she was left in the care of his aunt. So, with that energy already, you can see the similarities between me and him and us attracting each other. We both were neglected in ways by our parents where we should have been nurtured, and we were placed into care of people who did not have our best interests at heart, people who were not the best example of what an adult should do. So because I had to deal with the emotional and physical and the sexual abuse with him, and he had to endure the same exact thing with his aunt, we then attracted each other and came together and bonded on our traumas. But on the outside looking in, we both looked like regular people. We had jobs, we had our wits about us, you know what I'm saying? Everyone who goes through trauma isn't out on the street crazy talking to themselves, And that's one thing that we have to start realizing and understanding, that once you break the silence of the family secrets, and once you really let go of the pain and acknowledge that, you were not put in the best situation at that time, and understanding that healing is a daily choice and it's a daily growth, that's when you can start to break the cycle of abuse, if you understand what I'm saying. Because if you have me in my situation, I didn't like both men and women, okay? So I was being abused by a man and neglected by a woman who was my mom. But, from her standpoint, she was doing the best that she could to take care of us because she wanted us to have this life that she know that we deserved. So with his situation, it was the same thing. He was put into care with a woman who did not have his best interest at heart, who used and abused him consecutively. And his mom, of course, had the same viewpoint. She was trying to work, trying to create a life that she felt like he deserved to live. And unfortunately, the sacrifice came with the mental, physical, and spiritual neglect. So that's something that we have to take into part, and we have to really acknowledge our parents just for who they are at this point, at the point where they were, and acknowledge that they did the best that they could, and they made the choice that they made, but at the time they thought it was the best choice for you and for myself and for my ex. So the trauma that bonded us was a very deep rooted, like a root chakra trauma. So once you acknowledge where your trauma points are, mine is definitely in the heart and definitely in the root. That's when you can begin to target those areas and target those traumas and completely remove them from your vibration completely. So that does take a while. It's not an overnight process. And I don't know why, some people try to make it seem like it's just this, like one candle and you're done. That's not it. So when you take the daily choice to heal yourself and you take the daily steps to heal your mind and your body from the things that you've endured, it's one of those things where it doesn't stop until it doesn't hurt anymore, if you understand what I'm saying. So when you have these triggers and things like that and you're unable to even hear me right now, that's an indication that that's also something that you have to work on yourself. So with family secrets, they cause more harm than good because there are a lot of people out there who actually don't even know that they were sexually abused as a child because it's a family secret. So they have that energy deep within them. Hold up. Okay. They have that energy deep within them and they're attracting both men and women with the same exact trauma. So I don't care how much they say opposites attract, like also attracts like. And that's one thing that you have to take into part. Like, why are you attracting these energies into your life? And that's when you have to look back and you have to think back. And one thing that I highly recommend is sitting in meditation, because sitting in meditation will tell you a lot more than asking your family members what exactly happened to you, because a lot of them feel their own shame for their neglect that they put you through. So when you have that shame, that revolving shame in the home, and it just keeps cycling generation after generation after generation. And this is something that you have to actively make the daily choice to change and to grow and to learn from. And the one thing that you have to understand is that when you release the shame surrounded around the trauma that you endured, that's what sets you free. It's not just saying this happened to me and I'm better now, I'm good now. And with dealing with men, it's a lot harder because, again, men, especially black men, are taught that showing their emotions makes them a female, makes them the opposite gender, and makes them less of a man and things like that. So it's harder for men to speak on the things that they've endured and the things that they have been through at the hands of both men and women. So like I was saying, because his trauma with his aunt and the things that she made him do as a child, he grew up resenting women altogether. And it's one of those things that, you can go to therapy, you can do all of the things, but unless you actually sit and forgive, not the other person, forgive yourself and forgive the energies that you attracted from that point on, that's when you begin to heal. That's when you really start to heal. So because we had these similar traumas and these similar energies in our vibration, we attracted each other and we created a child. And with this, this is what's called like a karmic situation, because it's revolving around negative energies that were unaddressed and that were basically put a blanket over. You know what I'm saying? So because we did not take the time to sit and heal, and we didn't take the time to really explain to our inner child that we are safe now, we are in a secure place, and we don't have to recycle that abuse and we don't have to endure that abuse anymore, we began to create a life surrounded around our traumas. So when you create a life surrounded around your traumas, you can have everything for stability, a house, a car, everything, money. It does not mean that, because you surrounded around your traumas and you created a life around your traumas, that something bad is just going to your life is just going to be bad. That's not the case. There are people actively right now living lavish lives surrounded around their traumas. So it's one thing that you have to make the choice. Do you want to live in this energy? Do you want to keep attracting this energy? Do you want to keep entertaining this energy? Or do you want to elevate, and do you want to create a better life for yourself? And this is where me and my ex started to split, because I started to notice that, I had all this resentment, all this shame, all this underlying traumas that was still in my root chakra and in my heart chakra as well. And I started to acknowledge it and started to try and heal it. But because we met on this low vibration, because I tried to heal, I was looked at as the person who was neglecting our relationship or neglecting our friendship altogether. So that's when we started to split and have even more arguments. And as you elevate, this person will try to bring you down to the place where you met, because that's really like the comfort zone. When you have trauma with someone and you trauma bond, it makes it easy to come to your comfort zone because you have lived in that energy for so long. Do you understand? So when you get rid of the shame, and when you speak to your inner child, it's one thing that you have to stay consistent on daily. And you have to make that choice to not endure the trauma that you have associated with and not execute the trauma that you have associated with previously. So with sexual abuse, that's sort of one of the family secrets that go the most untalked about because of the shame of the family and the people involved as well. So it's one thing to actually teach a child how to heal from sexual trauma, and it's another thing just to sort of say, you're fine now, you're safe, and then everybody just moves on. Nobody talks about it anymore. And then that child grows up confused because they've endured something that not only they were taught to keep secret, and they were taught to not necessarily that they were taught to feel shame, but that they do feel shame for, because some children never tell, and the secret gets out, so they feel that shame. And some kids do tell, and they get shamed by their parents and get shamed by the person who does it as well. So this revolving energy, it never really resolves the problem unless it's addressed. So speaking to your child, especially your inner child, about these things should be more normalized, because it helps them grow into better people. Because when you don't resolve it and you keep this energy contained and you keep this family secret in their vibration, all they do is attract people who have that energy and who are waiting to attract people with that energy so they can use them as well. So with my ex, he let me know that he had endured this sexual trauma with his aunt, and it was on a consecutive basis. It was literally every time, his mom would go out to work, she would volunteer to watch him, and that's when their sexual relationship started. So after, everything was said and done, he then proceeded to show examples that he did not respect women and continue to lie and manipulate and use them to have that sense of power, because he did not have the power as a child. He had no strength and no security, you know what I'm saying? So he created his own security as an adult by being in a powerful position and choosing women who chose a weaker position, like myself. So one thing that he let me know is that he, by 18, he had his own underground strip club in New York City. So it's one of those things that, the trauma is still there, obviously, because the strip club in itself is, like I said, like a trauma meeting point. I don't know any woman who I have ever been around, ever been surrounded around, that did not have some sort of sexual trauma endured, who was working there. You know what I'm saying? I have yet to meet one. If you are one, you're the special case. Congratulations. There you go. So, with that energy, the energy was still inside of his vibration, and he just perpetuated it in different ways. And the work that he did, like I said, that underground strip club situation, and through the actions that he chose to do from that point on, especially the women that he chose as his partners. So because he chose weaker women like myself at that time to be partners with, that allowed him to have control over women, and it allowed him to get his control back that he never had as a child. So when you don't address the trauma, you leave it open for it to just keep reoccurring in your life and in your child's life. So this is why I highly recommend having open-ended conversations with children so they can just freely express themselves and don't judge them for anything that they say. Because so many times we try to control children and try to control how they feel, especially how black men feel or black children feel. And we have to start being open and having them understand that their voice is heard, it is understood, and it is respected. And one thing that we have to do is let children know that their opinion matters and their opinion is taken into consideration. So many times we put kids in their place, you know what I'm saying? And we never allow them to freely express themselves because we see it as a form of disrespect instead of seeing it as someone who is trying to grow into their own knowingness of what they perceive in the world, if you follow me. So when we neglect children and neglect their opinion and neglect their feelings, we allow this energy to keep cycling and keep showing up in not only the family environment, but in their adult choices as well. So with trauma and with healing and healing the trauma bonds that we create, we have to go back to the childhood. We have to go back to those situations that we were put in as a child that we had no control over. And we have to not only forgive ourselves and forgive our inner child for not knowing what to do and not knowing how to express themselves at that time, but we have to forgive all the adults in the situation as well. Now, what I recommend is forgiving yourself first before you go on to healing the connections, the adult connections that you have. Just because when you heal the adult connection first, it brings that inner child back into its place sometimes, and you never really grow and heal from the energy that you still have cycling in your vibration. So when you forgive yourself and you release the shame and you release the hurt and the pain, that's where the new life starts to come in, because you have to release the old energies, you have to release the old people, the old situations, everything old, so that you can bring in the new life that you want and that you feel like you deserve. Because if you're still at this vibration and you want this high vibrational life, this abundance, this beautiful energy, like the movie love that you see, and you're still vibing down here, the more you try to inch to it, the more you're like, oh, it's not possible. And you just keep getting stuck in this low vibrational energy because it's still present in your body and in your vibration. And this is one of the things that you have to actively make the choice to do every day. It's not saying that you have to, sit through a healing session every day and cry every day. That's not the case. But what you can do is acknowledge your inner child and respect your inner child, and even respect your inner child by respecting your children's voices right now. It's something simple like that. And treating yourself with kindness and understanding that you were an innocent life in this situation, and you were taken advantage of, and that is not necessarily okay, but you are okay now, and you have to acknowledge that you are safe now. Because so many times when we take it back and we try to heal our inner child and everything like that, we don't fully respect ourselves because of the traumas that we have underlying, and that shame keeps circulating, the anger keeps circulating, the depression keeps circulating. and we never fully heal. So when we speak about the family secrets and everything that we have to address all of the elephants in the room. And a lot of times our parents are not going to tell us the things that we've endured, because a lot of them have it way in the back of their mind, and they don't really want to resurface it up because they have their own shame surrounded around it. So when you have that inner child conversation, you just have to forgive your parents for being who they are. It's as simple as that. Just being who they are, because this energy of hiding it stems all the way back to, like I said, slavery, when we were witnessing our own family members being abused in front of us, and we could not do anything about it, if you understand what I'm saying. So it's a long-standing shame that has to be addressed, or it's going to keep being cycled into all of our situations and all of our vibrations. And this is something that we have to stop right here and right now and say that it's okay to express ourselves in this way, and it's okay to release the shame that we feel and release this old energy, because everybody does not want to stay in this negative cycle of being abused and being the abuser. Not everybody wants to be in that situation. And unfortunately, if you do not address the energy that you are enduring or that you have endured as a child, it will always find a way to resurface, and it will always pop up. It will always pop back up. And that's one thing that you have to realize. It's not just like, I endured this as a child, and I'm better now. But you have to look at everything that you have endured in your life from childhood on up. Why was life why were you in this cycle of life that felt neglect, that felt unheard, that felt, this energy that you endured as a child? So this is something that you have to really, really sit with yourself with and understand that the family secrets and the trauma bonding is what the family secrets is what bonds the trauma together. So when you have people who are narcissists, who are ready and willing and praying that you don't want to heal, that you just have it blocked out of your mind, what they can then do is come in, make offers, and make you feel like this is the energy that you've been wanting, all to just cycle you back into that abuse and cycle you back into that lower vibrational energy and cause even more trauma, so that you never leave, so that they can continue to manipulate you, and other narcissists can manipulate you and things of that nature. So what you have to realize is that when people have this trauma and this energy, they do not necessarily, it's not that they don't recognize it. They've created a life and created a personality and created a like I said, a whole life surrounded around it. So they say, this happened to me, I'm better now, this is who I am. And being better comes with growth. So one thing that you have to understand is, someone can say they're doing better, somebody can say this and that, but growth comes with spiritual change, if you understand what I'm saying. Growth comes with the spiritual aspect of it. And so many times we forgive other people who do not show spiritual growth just because we want to believe that they're better people, so we can begin to engage with them on a higher level, because we have trauma bonded with them so hard and so deeply. So when you are sitting with yourself and you're sitting with your inner child, and you're forgiving your inner child, this begins to break that cycle of abuse and breaks that generational curse that is stuck in your bloodline. Because it's so many times where Black men have been sexually abused by not only men and women, and they are just cycling this abuse. They're saying, I'm never getting hurt again. Every woman I encounter, I'm hurting them first. Or, if they're attracted to the opposite gender, every man that I endure, I'm hurting them first. I'm never being hurt again. And that's a defense mechanism, and the energy is never really healed. It's just, like I said, recycled in a different form. So now, instead of being abused, you are now the abuser. It does not have to be physical. It does not have to be sexual. sexual, but that energy has recycled itself because you were unhealed, if you understand what I'm saying. So many times we don't allow children and we don't allow men to express themselves freely because we look at children as not being able to understand the reality of what life is, and yet and still we have so many children being abused in all different types of ways. So neglecting their ability to speak makes them feel like not only are they less than, but it makes them feel like their voice is unheard, their opinions do not matter, and they will create a life surrounded around their traumas where they either endure that trauma, where they endure that energy of being unheard, or they do the exact opposite and become the person who is perpetuating the abuse. So this is something that we really have to take into account, being Black people and our culture. Baby, we gotta straighten up. Okay, we don't got a lot of time. We gotta straighten up. And we have to address all of the elephants in the room and figure out, why do we keep enduring this? Why do we keep having to transmute pain? Why do we have to keep doing this to ourselves? Why does this energy keep resurfacing in other ways? And we have to really set an environment that is open, that is free, where people can just speak. Sometimes just speaking is just enough because nobody had that chance to even speak, And when you have parents who are literally trying to just survive out here and just make sure you have clothes on your back and a roof over your head, it's hard to speak with them about the emotional side. So with the emotional neglect, growing up as a child, you don't really know how to express yourself, especially men and some children as well. They don't really know how to properly express themselves because when they speak, they're looked at as a child and they're looked at as their speech is invalid or does not matter because of their age and because they don't pay no bills in this house. You know what I'm saying? That's the Black saying. They don't pay no bills, so they shouldn't have an opinion, which is invalid. If you feel that way, you just shouldn't have kids. That's just how I feel. Because they are actually, a lot of them are more advanced than their parents, a lot of times, not only mentally, but physically as well. Well, not physically, but, engaging. You know what I'm saying? So with acknowledging your child and acknowledging that inner child that you neglected, sometimes, like I said, is as simple as letting your child speak freely and speak openly about things that they've endured. Because so many times we have these conversations where, hi, how are you doing? Good, I'm doing good. How are you? Good. And your life is shit, your life is shit, and nobody's getting anywhere. So until we can actually have the conversation where, like, hi, how are you doing? I'm actually not doing too good today. This, and this happened. And we actually have these open-ended conversations instead of just being good. Like, I'm good. How are you doing? Good. Because that word in itself loses all of its meaning, because good just means to me just waking up another day at this point. Because when you ask someone how they're doing, they don't feel like they should really express how they're doing. And we have to take into account that energy itself has to do with the neglect that we got emotionally as children. So we have to really sit with ourselves, and we have to sit with our inner child, and we have to do the work. We have to do the work, all of the work. I know that sometimes it causes you to cry, and it causes you to be angry at your parents, and it causes all these emotions, but you need to feel all of those and acknowledge every feeling, because all of those feelings are valid. Every single last one of your feelings are valid, but we have to grow from them, or we're going to keep attracting this shame and this anger and everything like that into our vibration. So with the releasing comes the healing, and with the healing comes the growth, and with the growth comes the life change. And that's something that you guys have to really keep in mind, especially if you're on this healing journey, and especially if you're trying to change your life for the better, not only for yourself, but for your children and for your future as well, and for your bloodline, baby, because we need it. As Black people, we have endured so much, and it's a lot deeper than what they say happened to us in the history books, okay? So I'm just going to leave this right here. I'm just going to end this. I will come back on later, but I don't really know what I'm going to talk about. So I will see you later. Bye.